All right, let's just jump right in. Think about that thing that's stressing you out right now. That deadline, that tough conversation, that feeling that you're just stuck. What if I told you the problem isn't actually the problem? What if the real issue is just the lens you're looking through? Well, today, we're going to rewire how you see things entirely. And look, you've been sold a bill of goods about why you fail. We're told to just try harder, have more willpower, be more positive. But the real issue, it runs so much deeper. It's basically a bug in your mental operating system. But the good news is, today, we're going to install the patch. So this brings us to the core concept for today, which I call the prison of perception. And the idea is really simple. We don't react to reality. We react to our story about reality. And for most of us, that story is being written by a very old, very scared, and very buggy autopilot system. And here's the most powerful part of all this. If you're only trapped by the way you see things and not the things themselves, well, that means you've always had the key. The door to this prison isn't locked from the outside. You just need to know where the handle is. And that's exactly what we're going to find today. Okay, so let's meet the villain of our story. And you know this voice. It's that constant narrator in your head, the one that instantly jumps in to tell you what everything means. From a little mistake at work to a weird look from a friend. It's always running in the background. Now, this is absolutely crucial to get. This narrator is not telling you the truth. It's basically a biological fossil. See, your brain is wired with a negativity bias for a really good reason. For our ancestors, missing a saber-toothed tiger in the bushes was a fatal mistake. Missing a juicy berry? Not so much. The problem is, your brain is treating a critical email with the same life or death panic as a literal tiger. And you see this narrator pop up all the time in daily life, right? The student gets 1B, and the story becomes, I'm a failure. The parent has one tough day, and the story becomes, I'm a terrible mom or dad. The entrepreneur loses one client, and suddenly the whole business is doomed. This isn't rational thinking. It's your brain's old, outdated software doing the thinking for you. So what's the big deal? Well, letting this narrator run your life isn't just kind of stressful. It comes with some massive and often totally hidden costs. It's like trying to navigate the world wearing glasses that are designed to only show you threats and problems. And the first cost, well, let's just put it bluntly. Your stress is literally making you stupid. I know it sounds harsh, but from a neurological standpoint, it is absolutely true. When that narrator kicks into high gear, it messes with your ability to think clearly. Here's what's happening in your brain. When you get stressed, your body diverts blood and energy away from your prefrontal cortex. That's the smart, creative, problem-solving part of your brain. So your whole system is screaming danger, which makes you cognitively blind to the solutions that might be sitting right in front of your face. Okay, this next one is just nasty. It's a vicious cycle. Every single time you listen to that story that a setback is a permanent failure, I always mess this up, you chip away at your own sense of power. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You stop trying because you genuinely believe it doesn't matter, and you spiral into inaction. And finally, say goodbye to creativity. You can't innovate or come up with new ideas when your brain is stuck in a terrified loop, running the same worst-case scenarios over and over and over. That fear-based thinking slams the door shut on any kind of flexible, creative thought. Okay, that was a little grim, I know, but here's where everything changes. We're done with the problem. Now we get to the solution. This is the good stuff. It's what I call the art of interception, learning how to catch that sabotaging narrator in the act and finally take back the controls. And this right here, this is the light bulb moment. Your perspective is not who you are. It's a tool that you use. Think of it like a software plugin. And if the one you're using is buggy and keeps crashing your system, you can uninstall it and choose a better one. This is the moment you go from being a passenger in your own head to being the pilot. So how do we actually do this? The first tool is a super simple technique called the thought gap. The second you feel that jolt of anger or anxiety, that's your signal. First, just pause. Take one deep breath. Second, anchor yourself. Just feel your feet flat on the floor. And third, and this is the magic step, you just observe the thought. Instead of being the thought, you step back and witness it. There's the thought that I'm a failure. That tiny little space you just created, that's where all your power is. This leads right into our next big tool, understanding the difference between the event and the story. The event is the objective, undeniable fact.
It's a data point. I got a D on my exam. The story is the emotional, catastrophic movie you play in your head about that fact. I'm too stupid for college. My future is ruined. The key to all of this is learning to pull those two things apart.
And if you want one simple trick, one little language shift to make this happen, this is it. When you say, this is a disaster, it feels like an unchangeable fact. But when you say, I'm telling myself a story that this is a disaster, suddenly it's different. You're acknowledging that the catastrophe is a narrative you're creating, not reality. You immediately take your power back. All right, so we've hit the brakes on that runaway negative story. We've created some space. Now what? Well, now comes the fun part. We stop being a critic and we start being an author. We're not just going to stop the bad stories, we're going to start writing better ones on purpose. This first question is a total game changer. It shifts you instantly from being a victim of your circumstances to being a student of them. A difficult project isn't just happening to you anymore, it's happening for you to teach you something about managing complexity. See the shift? It puts you back in the driver's seat. Here's another one I absolutely love. This question turns every frustrating obstacle into your own personal curriculum. Every challenge becomes a lesson in disguise. You stop focusing on the pain of the problem, and you start looking for the value in the education it's giving you. Okay, this one might be my favorite because it's like having a time machine for your brain. By fast-forwarding to the future and looking back, you immediately shrink today's disaster down to its real size. That email that's ruining your day, that awkward meeting, seriously, will you even remember it in 5 years? Probably not. This gives you instant perspective. So what's the end game here? Where does all this practice lead? Well, the goal isn't just to be resilient, to bounce back when things get tough. The ultimate goal is to become something far, far more powerful. The goal is to become anti-fragile. This is a concept from the scholar Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And here's the easiest way to think about it. A glass cup is fragile. Under stress, it shatters. A plastic cup is resilient. Under stress, it bounces back to its original shape. But something that's anti-fragile, like your immune system or your muscles, actually gets stronger from being exposed to stress and shock. And your mind can be built the exact same way. And this is how you build it. Every single time you catch that negative narrator, every time you separate the event from the story, every time you consciously choose a more empowering question, that's a rep. You are in the mental gym strengthening the neural pathways that will build a mind that doesn't just survive chaos, but actually thrives in it. Because at the end of the day, that's the real secret, isn't it? Your ultimate power doesn't come from trying to control every little thing that happens out there. It comes from mastering the one thing you can always control, the meaning you decide to give it. That is a power that no person and no circumstance can ever take from you. The only question left is, how are you going to use it?